Here is a mesmerizing display of volcanic lightning during an eruption in the Philippines in 2020.
A friendly rhinoceros passes through a village.
Here is a mesmerizing display of volcanic lightning during an eruption in the Philippines in 2020.
The waters of Australia's Lake Hillier are bubblegum pink due to a mixture of bacteria and algae, and the great thing is, it's totally safe to swim in.
Orcas in Alaska come to say hi.
Oh, dude. Whoa, dude. Mouth shut. Oh my god, you guys. Whoa. Oh my god.
The incredible sight of a cave being illuminated by millions of glowworms.
This is after the meat, though. Come on. Who's my girl, huh? Who's my girl, huh? Hey. So she knew. Ano doang ni? Tuh. Di sini doang nih hujan nih. Ini di sini doang hujan, lihat. Nih. Luar biasa, kok bisa ya? Kok bisa ya?
Oh my gosh, I just fed a moose. This is insane.
That's crazy.
I want to pet him. Yeah, you like that, Steve?
Yeah.
It's new,
Good
yeah.
job.
You like it, Steve?
Real Alaska adventures. Eat your heart out, Sarah Palin.
We're gonna share.
Here,
We're gonna
stop
share.
She's fine.
You want some, Steve?
You ready?
Is it on camcorder?
No, it's on picture.
Where's my phone?
All right, here we go. Oh goodness. Hello from the darkest corners of sunny New Mexico. Hope you can hear me and I'm not peeking too bad. Kind of a different arrangement on the desk here a little bit. Hi from New Mexico. Goodbye, Texas. This, if you don't know, is the fourth state that I have done this show from. I have done this show in Illinois for years. Did this show in Missouri for just about a month. Did this show in Texas for a full year. And now I'm in New Mexico, the land of enchantment. And I feel it's pretty enchanting here. We go out and the mix of scrub desert and mountains and there's this mountain range here called the Oregon Mountains that look amazing. I'll have to show you all pictures of them. Anyway, good morning. I'm live from the Hive, but this isn't the Hive that you're used to. This is Hive 4.0 because here we are. Yeah, Bree World Tour. Yes. I'm happy to see your avatars and stuff. I don't see any faces. I guess I see John and Lil's face. Their faces are available. I just see your precious kitty, Aunt Jer. You were asking about if I played any brass or woodwind. This is what I play. I'm not very good at it, but... Oh, that was the wrong note. See, like I said, I'm not very good. Henry, yeah, we have a friend here helping us move. I don't want to like say their name in case they don't want to be get up there. In case they don't want to be publicly known. We have a friend here visiting, and they are very excited that we have company. Henry's just like woo, and Henry's in a new place, and he doesn't know what's going on. Oh goodness, that was really peaky. Oh my gosh, Mr. Henry. Yeah, he's gonna be vocal. And this show might be a little bit shorter too, because I got stuff to do today. There's like you can't see it, but like all around me there is boxes, and ooh, look at my plushies all glowing on the bed there. Isn't that cute? Yeah, I kind of like this look. I need to figure out how to make it permanent though, because right now it's like a temporary setup. I like to have the moon in the background and stuff. I kind of wish that I thought about wrapping the piranha plant, and I might go ahead and do that. I got the piranha plant one over here, and I might switch them. But that is my coelacanth, which is my rainbow coelacanth. Everybody should be familiar with that. I have a new tapestry right here that Ben gave me, and it is like it's more jellyfish, but there's an astronaut. I like jellyfish, so that's a thing. And I got that cute ghosty picture there. Yeah, that's about all I want to break down right now for how things are going with the move. My only window that I got in this room is right here, which you all know I like it dark anyway. I have sensitive eyes and I get migraines. Oh, do I get migraines? I kind of want to put a blackout curtain over top of the window, honestly. It's got like steel blinds on it now, which I'm not thrilled about. But yeah, I might put like some blackouts. I got those. They're kind of ugly though. I got like dark maroon ones with like gold paisley on them that totally clash with everything else in my room. I do have my butterfly curtains, but they're white, so they're not like blackout. No dogs playing poker? Not yet. You can send me dogs playing poker. Or cryptids playing poker would probably be a better fit for me, huh? Speaking of cryptids, let's look at the polls. If anybody's interested in looking at the polls today. For Cryptic Corner, we are... Skunk Ape did not do good this week. Do better, Skunk Ape. Is it because he stinks? Is it because he stinks? We get little gas masks or something. Mahamba didn't do very good either, which is the giant crocodile from the Congo. We saw the Men in Black here too, and as you can see, this is creepy Men in Black, not Will Smith Men in Black, just to be clear. What won by a landslide by over half, by the majority rules here in the Hive, I guess, because that night hag, she won the day. So we're doing two ghosty things in a row, which is it's fine. Usually I'm okay with doing two in a row. If it gets too much that we're just covering, but it is spooky season, so covering ghosts makes sense, right? Yeah. All right. We got Weekend Weird coming up later. And the new kid on the block won this one, too. Y'all want to see out-of-place artifacts. Crystal Healing Powers has been on here for quite a while. Just crystal powers in general. I'll see what I can find when we cover that. Secrets of the Last Supper did not do very well either. Don't you all want to know what Da Vinci knew about Jesus? Come on now. The Mystic Flowers actually did do pretty good. I'm excited to cover that. There's one that crosses over with something we covered on Cryptic Corner before, which is always yay, it's always yay. So, that's what we got going on here. And you got shrimped, so plus 66 to mental health. Please, I need it. Hey girls, feel free to tag yourself in this one too. Go out there and tag yourself. It's from a couple days ago, but it's not too late. If you see yourself in this image, but there's that alarm. If this flag offends you, yes. Isn't that crazy? People being against spirit. And also, if you didn't pick, oh, I didn't mean to click on it. If you didn't pick your cryptid though, they're right here. Right here. So gotta go pick your cryptid. So that's, I guess that's the polls for today. Okay, I was making sure I was the right mic because it seems to be like it's pulling a really wide range. And it shouldn't be too echoey in here because I've put up all the tapestries that I had before. He's so sad. Okay, so I'm here. It's just me and Bo here alone. Okay. Yeah, because the company left. So Henry's probably kind of scared right now. Do y'all want to see Henry? If you want to see Henry, I can put a dog in the chat. He's kind of a wrecking crew, so I don't keep him in here very long, but I'll bring him in here for a minute if y'all want to see him. What were we doing? Okay, yeah. So one of the jobs that I interviewed for last week, their hours. That's if I end up taking the job because the pay wasn't very good. But their hours were on Saturday mornings, and I don't know what's going to happen with that. But I'll keep you all posted. So just watch the community post if you want to keep track of that. And yeah, if you do type that, it'll make it howl though. It really will. Or is it? Yeah, I think it's that. That's one of my commands. I believe it'll work. Yeah, I'm gonna go get Henry so he can say hi to everybody. Okay. Be right back. Come say hi, buddy. Come say hi. Say hi. He's a big boy. He's black as night. He just needed some attention. See, you're okay. You're okay. All right. He knows him a good boy. He likes to talk though. He's a very talkative guy. He's very argumentative too. He will sit there and argue with me for, oh goodness. Now he's sad. Let me see. Yeah, he's so big. He's probably about 30 pounds now. He's like coyote sized. Yeah. He's a sweet boy though. He loves to argue, which means he fits in this and with me, because I love to argue. Ben loves to argue. Henry has not auditioned for the line yet, but he will argue with anybody who calls in. Yeah, him's a big boy. Anyway. Yeah, speaking of Cryptic Corner, yeah, I got a lot of stuff to cover about the night hag. So, yeah, still looks peaky, and it doesn't. That's wild. The different sound form of different spaces, and how the sound reverberates and picks up, being so different. I heard coyotes in my yard this week. Yeah, him's a cutie. He's just very excitable. We need a baby gate because we have we have steep stairs. So, we don't want anybody to tumble down them. So that's where Ben went. The guy I paid to pick up poo out of the yard was sure surprised to find out I have no pets. I know you have pets. I saw your dogs. Was that really your dogs with the porcupine quills in their faces, or was that like a meme thing? I know there are porcupine in Texas, so. Back to work. Okay, well, thank you for coming and saying hi, my unfinished song. Yeah, and I think I'm going to go. And please bear with me, too, because I'm running on no coffee this morning. No coffee whatsoever. Which is not normal for me. So, I'm going to... that was your dogs? No Man Left Behind? Yeah. Okay. That's oh goodness. Anyway, I will see you guys in Cryptic Corner in just a minute.
The company store, the paradigm of absolute control. And that's why we're just out here doing simple things, pointing out that we're meant to be in nature and be natural. And this is where we find the source that God made to transcend the New World Order. And that's why they want to try to keep us out of it.
I'm angry. I've had enough of these people. They're a bunch of Christian murder scum. They're on giant death factories keeping babies alive and selling their body parts. What more do you need to know about these people? I go out and face these scum. They literally crawl out from under rocks. They have green looking skin and they run around screaming, "We love Satan, we wanna eat babies." I have them on video. Hillary's in the creepy weird sick-stuffed man. She sleeps in the same room with that creepy weirdo woman whose mother wears a hood over her head. That woman number one is ugly. Imagine how bad she smells, man. I'm told her and Obama just stink. Obama and Hillary both smell like sulfur. Gets close to that evil and I feel it go. We're such self-centered crap. We don't even notice hell itself rising up against us. Millions of pointed people of the very worst type, and I'm so pissed. We're gonna stab your daughter at the mall. We're gonna stab your wife, your son. We're gonna stab you with a butcher knife, and then the police chief is gonna say, "We love our Somalis, we love our Muslims. Oh, they're so good, oh, they're so sweet."
I was watching Fox News as I worked out this.
right, hello, my beauties and bees, and welcome to another installment of Cryptic Corner, where we explore the unexplained, the supernatural, the paranormal and hidden, the mysterious, the alien, the accursed, and the forbidden. I'm your host, Miss Bumblebee, and we are coming at you live from the Hive on a Saturday morning. If you want to join us live for this segment every weekend, every Saturday morning, all you have to do is click subscribe down below and ring that bell to let us know when we're live. We are live promptly at 8:30, almost promptly. Sometimes I'm late, sometimes, well, you know, sometimes things come up, but anyhow, join us here, and you can comment in the live chat on the topic that we're covering, and I'll talk about what you have to say about it. We cover a lot of cryptids and aliens and ghosts and what time travelers, interdimensional beings, mind demons. Oh, it's just a smorgasbord of weird, and you can be part of that. Don't you want to be part of that? Come on. Tell me you don't want to be part of that. So join us every Saturday morning and have some fun. And also, if you get a chance to, then you can also come out and vote on our polls to see what topics we cover. Tonight, as you can see, we are covering the night hag. The people really wanted to know about this sleep paralysis demon. We talk about demons of the mind. We've covered things like machine elves, the DMT creatures. We've covered tulpas and things like that. So this is a new ground for us, but this one's close and personal because I have a personal relationship with the night hag. I've actually spent some time with her myself, and I'll talk about that later on in the show. It's actually something I bring up quite a bit on this segment because, and it's something I brought up quite a bit when I was doing call-in shows with the perspective, the experiences that I had with sleep paralysis. But we're going to start right here with, so they're going to say 5 nightmarish facts about sleep paralysis hag. And this is, I guess I should say, this is from like a top 5 channel. I don't know. No sound
As
yet.
humans, we all share some common experiences, no matter what part of the world we live in. And no matter what our culture may be, we share them because we are human. Some are obvious. We are all born. We all gather sustenance in some way. We all sleep. We all dream. We all love and hate, and we all die. These are things we understand. However, there are other experiences we share.
Oh wait, we're not done. We all have skin. We do. We all have skin covering our bodies. We all have skeletons. We all are filled with spooky, scary skeletons. Like we all have a brain of some kind.
So easily understood, such as dreams, sleep paralysis, and the old hag. The old hag occurs everywhere.
Good timing, Henry.
In every human culture. It is sometimes called an experience, sometimes a phenomenon, but it is sometimes, in fact, often called an attack. And for good reason.
So,
because it is.
This is the hag. This is the nightmare. The nightmare rides through your dreams, bringing torment. But this is our poor hag-ridden victim. The hag jumps off of the nightmare and onto the Victorian hottie. This Victorian baddie right here. With legs for days. Look how long them legs are. Girl.
Often utterly terrifying. So what is it? Well, let's take a look. But please don't doze off. because something might be waiting for you.
Daddy.
What is the old hag? The old hag phenomenon, experience, or attack is a constellation of separate elements. Central to this suite of elements is sleep paralysis, also known as nocturnal paralysis, sleep numbness, and post-dormital cholastic fits. They all mean the same thing: sleep-associated paralysis. A key element to the experience of sleep paralysis is the feeling of being completely awake, but unable to move any part of the body, with the exception of the eyelids and eyes. No other part of the body responds to the attempt at voluntary movement. It typically lasts only a few seconds, but can last up to several minutes. Sleep paralysis was once thought to be extremely rare and associated with narcolepsy, but is now known to be quite common.
I do not have narcolepsy, though, and I did have sleep paralysis.
With estimates of its occurrence ranging from 20% to 60% of the world's population. Typically, a person may experience 1 or 2 episodes in a lifetime, but some people can experience regular episodes at intervals of days, weeks, or months, and very few can experience them almost every.
I think a lot of times it's environmental, because I've only ever experienced it in certain environments under certain conditions. But yeah, like I said, I'll tell my tale later on in the show. I don't want to lead with that.
Night.
So if you want to hear about my sleep paralysis demon experience, stick around.
Varying periods of time. The crucial element to the old hag experience which sets it apart from simple sleep paralysis is the acute awareness, sometimes accompanied by a visual experience of some sort of presence in the room with the sleeper. This may include the sensation of an entity standing over the experiencer.
Night terrors are rough, Kelly.
Sensation of the bed being depressed by the weight of something sitting or lying on it. This presence may be strongly sensed and felt, but not seen.
Yeah, I'd be kind of pissed if my my demon came into my room and started doing shadow puppets on my face while I was trying to sleep. Ugh, that'd be annoying.
Or may typically manifest as a dark shadow, a dark mist, or a human shape with no defining features, except occasionally for intensely dark eyes, darker than the entity itself. There may also be the tactile sensation of being touched, prodded, or even pinched. Most importantly, and central to the experience, the sleeper may feel a heavy weight on their body, typically on the chest, but sometimes on the legs, and sometimes the sensation of being strangled. The sense of wakeful paralysis coupled with the weight pressing on the body is a classic old hag attack. The experience is almost invariably terrifying, and in fact, is the source of the concept of the nightmare, a word derived from the Old Norse and Anglo-Saxon mara, which may have originally meant night death or something similar. Nightmares were not just bad dreams, as the term is used today, nor were they night terrors. These are different phenomena. Instead, they were regarded as some sort of supernatural assault.
It's funny, when people ask me which pony I am from My Little Pony Friendship is Magic, I always say Nightmare Moon. It'd be Nightmare Moon. Y'all can have all the little pony girls. I will rule over the Knight of Equestria. Of course, that could be Princess Luna, too, but, yeah. Why is it doing that?
Sometimes as a result of being cursed or bewitched. How widespread is the experience? The old hag has equivalents in virtually every culture in which the phenomenon has been studied. It is well known, for instance, in Canada's Newfoundland, where it is a part of the cultural tradition, and has been studied extensively in Japan, where it is called kanashibari, or bound up with metal. It has also been documented across the...
This is going to be covered independent from Sons and Walking Sam. Those are other entities of sleep paralysis and dream demons. And I want to give them all their own spotlight because they're all culturally unique, but they're part of an overarching phenomena. And one of my favorite things about this phenomena is that we can see the development of it with the Hat Man. So the Hat Man, and we did do a video on the Hat Man. If somebody from one of my mods could grab the Hat Man video that we did, the Cryptic Corner Hat Man episode, and drop it into the side chat, I'd appreciate it. But the Hat Man is a version of this same type of phenomena, what the constructs our brains make when the chemistry is just right. And you're primed, you prime yourself to be scared and suspicious, and boom, you see the Hat Man. And he's a dark, shadowy figure with this pork pie hat, or sometimes it's more like a fedora hat. Regardless, he's wearing a brimmed hat, right? And we're terrified of him. He's menacing, just a dark silhouette of a figure in a hat. Sometimes he has eyes, but not often. And we see this development of this archetype, this collective conscious idea of a menacing figure in the night, right? And yeah, there was a time when it was a creepy little haggy person, or some uncouth, dirty little person sneaking into your space at night and touching you. You know, these are archetypes. But the fun thing of the Hat Man is we see the evolution of that from a actual real life, this is what you're scared of, because that is the neighborhood watch guy, right? That's the figure. That's the stranger danger poster guy. That's when you want to warn children or even adults and women about the dangers around them. They'll use this archetype of a figure with a brimmed hat, a shadowy figure with a brimmed hat. It's on signs throughout the U.S. Almost every city has a sign with the Hat Man on it, in neighborhoods everywhere. So that's why it's in our brain. We developed the idea that this is a figure, and sometimes now people, when they report their sleep paralysis, it's the Hat Man, because he's ingrained in our mind as the menace now. It's pretty interesting in my opinion, because it shows how these older archetypes have developed over time. Obviously, there's aliens too. Don't get me wrong. There's aliens that are also a newer phenomena, but that's less obvious to say that. Yeah, it's because we put this picture on signs all over cities and say this is what a dangerous figure, dangerous and mysterious entity or figure looks like. And we did never do that with aliens or gray aliens or whatever. Have we covered gray aliens like as a single topic? I know we've covered like Roswell and stuff. Okay, no, we haven't. That might be something that goes on the list if we need to talk about grays. But we'll have to get through the Men in Black first. But the Men in Black's going to talk about grays too. Grays have their fingers, their long alien fingers, their Doug Jones fingers, and everything. I kind of have long fingers though. I'm a string musician, so of course I do.
United States, Europe, throughout Asia, and among the various indigenous groups of the far north, the Inuit, Yupik, and Aleut. In the United States, which contains a number of subcultures, the pattern is the same. Sleep paralysis is usually but not always hypnopompic, the presence of an unknown and unwelcome entity, and the feeling of physical oppression. It is a universal human experience, which I think you'll agree is terrifying. But what causes it?
I do like sleep paralysis demon art.
There are a couple of perhaps incidental things to mention here at the outset. These are things that concern the immediate causal factors that may be involved. First, for some unknown reason, it tends to be more common among people who sleep on their backs. Sleeping on one side would presumably make it more difficult to experience the sensation of crushing weight on the chest, yet the experience is not, as a rule.
True. Every time I've experienced, in my personal experience, every time it's been on my chest when I was laying on my back.
Associated with sleeping on one's stomach, which presumably would allow such a sensation. But this does not appear to be the case. Second, although it can happen at any time, and is most associated with nighttime sleep, there are quite a few accounts of the experience occurring to people who nap during the day, especially in the late morning.
Yes! That's my experience. Seems
Why
my
this
keyboard will only
unknown,
sync with this
but it may be
monitor.
associated with the next point. Third, people who are chronically fatigued, sleep deprived and stressed seem particularly prone to such experiences. They may be late-night workers, chronically fatigued and stressed students, and others in similar condition.
Yes, late night workers.
All of this suggests a physiological component to the experience, which is not unexpected, since we experience everything, regardless of their natures and origins, through physiological processes. The fact that the phenomenon is particularly associated with some degree of sleep deprivation would suggest that there is a component of disruption of normal sleep cycle involved. This is an important point.
And Ember, that kind of comes into play too.
Because the experience is strongly associated with certain stages of the sleep cycle. The subjective experience. The subjective experience is generally a profound terror, although on very rare occasions, when the experience is frequent, the subject may actually relax and even welcome it, although this is very rare. The initial paralysis is generally at first confusing and frightening. The fear is exacerbated by the sense of an additional, unknown and foreign and intrusive presence. Figures may be perceived, usually dark, but on rare occasions luminous. The paralysis itself may dissipate spontaneously, but as modern research into sleep paralysis has shown, moving even just a finger or toe is typically enough to end the paralysis, and coincidentally also the visitation of these presences.
Your brain is produces chemicals to paralyze you while you sleep. It keeps you from like acting out your dreams, right? Like your brain kind of sedates your muscle system, it paralyzes you, and when you go into this hypnopompic state, right, your body's paralyzed with that. Your brain is only kind of in this like half wake state, so it's still, while your eyes are open and you're aware that you're awake, your brain is still trying to create dream images. Sort of like waking up during the wrong part of the wash cycle for your brain. Oh, there it goes again. I'm used to hitting the button. So I'm used to just hitting this button to get it to play. But for some reason, my keyboard seems to be synced to just this monitor now. I don't know what that's about. Right.
Entities hovering over
Weird. Okay.
the bed of the subject, standing around the bed, or sitting
I'm
or lying
annoyed
on
by
the bed
that.
with the subject. And this is always accompanied by a feeling of helplessness. In these cases, the main source of fear is proximity and paralytic helplessness, since the nature of this entity is unknown. Not everyone finds this experience threatening, and some people may even strike out, but most do not, sometimes out of fear, and sometimes as a result of sleep paralysis. Those who strike at the entity, or even manage to turn on a light, find that it dissipates, and this suggests that it is a sleep-related hallucination or dreamlike phenomenon. Again, numerous accounts indicate that regaining the ability to move, even one digit suffices to break the paralysis. And the general...
There's other things you can do too. When it happens, I started turning, just leaving cartoons on in the room. I know a lot of people don't like the light, but leaving something to anchor your mind on when you wake up as paralyzed will keep the other stuff from manifesting. That's been my experience with hypnopompic hallucinations. Of course, there's environmental factors that I take into consideration when I prepare for something like that. Like, there's no way I would have it in this room. Like, the way I have this room set up is specifically to make my psychology or my brain comfy, right? It's always happens in a room that I'm not comfortable necessarily in. Sleeping during a time when, while mainly sleeping during a time when I normally wouldn't be sleeping. But when it happened to me, I'm just gonna go into it now. When it was happening to me, I was working overnights, so I was sleeping during the day. The first place it happened at, it would happen during the day when I was sleeping in there, and there were blackout curtains on the windows. But later, the second wave, I only had like 2 waves where this happened, and they were years apart. But the second wave was I was sleeping. I was sleeping overnight, but normally I was sleeping during the day. Sleeping during the because I was working overnights, right? It would happen on the weekends at this other place, because I would try to sleep normal because I was going to sleep with my partner on the weekends when I was home. So I was trying to sleep like a normal schedule, and then like at the same time that during the work week that I would start to get like drowsy at night. It was usually like between like 4:30 and 6, where you're like, when you work overnights and you're like dragging. So that's when it would happen. But I would like wake up in that state, because that's that's the time when you're like, I was working in factories and stuff, so that's the time when you're like standing at your machine and you start like head bobbing. You're like, I can't head bob at this, I need to make myself stay awake. So my brain was used to this, boom, make yourself stay awake response. So that's what I was doing.
Experience of an intruding entity. So is the experience real? The question is, are people who are subject to an old hag attack in fact being attacked by an actual, objectively existing entity? The study of the old hag phenomenon was given its first rigorous systematic treatment by Dr. David J.
What is that?
Originally,
what does that even mean? There I go again, pushing that button. What does that even mean? An actual entity, objective entity. What does that even mean here?
From the University of Pennsylvania, where he held positions as a university professor and chair of medical humanities and professor of neural and behavioral science. Hufford became interested in the old hag phenomenon after his own encounter with it in the 1970s. In 1982, after some years of field research, he published what has become a classic in the field, The Terror That Comes in the Night, in which he distinguished between what he called the cultural source hypothesis and the experiential source hypothesis. This was the culmination of his investigation into numerous hag attacks, ranging from archived historical records to extensive interviews with people who had experienced them. It was a way to disentangle old hag experiences that were preconditioned by cultural elements and expectations, from experiences that occurred to people without any prior knowledge or predisposition to them. This was considerably easier in the 1970s.
I had never heard of the old hag before it happened to me. I found out about it looking it up. So it was experiential. But my hag was a little bit different too. It was definitely a hag, I mean. But it was it was more like a dirt. The best way I can describe it is like a dirty cousin It. But it wasn't like covered in fur. It was just hair hanging down, and it was like knotted and it had dreads in it, and there was other sensory stuff too, sound and smell. Smelled like I don't know if you've ever like under like an old house, smelled the dirt underneath there. It smelled like that, and it shuffled its feet and breathed heavy. And to say that it's an objective entity, it was constructed by my brain. It was built by my mind. It wasn't something that actually exists outside of my brain. And that's the easiest way to understand it and to, I don't want to say defeat it, but to like avoid it. But it would, it would come out of closets, a specific closet, or when it was the older experiences where I was in the room during the day sleeping, it would just come up from the other side of the bed behind me, like when I was laying on like my back, it would come up, and there was no space over there, which was the weird part. It was, anyway. So that was my experience. That is what happened to me.
Before the advent of the internet than it would be now. What he found was that culture did not determine who experienced an old hag attack. In all the cases he studied, the event followed the same basic outline, of course with minor variations, whether or not the subject had any familiarity with the experience. This in turn indicated that cultural expectations do not influence this experience, and so believing in the reality of certain paranormal beliefs, such as an entity like the old hag, is, as Hufford puts it, reasonable, because such encounters aren't the result of any obvious cultural or attitudinal leanings, but nonetheless have experiential elements.
But it can be biological. It can be a construct of the mind, right? It does, just because everybody experiences it the same. We're all the same. We're all the same creature. We're all the same animal. We all have similar wiring and similar chemical responses in our brain. So the fact that they would construct the same kind of uncomfortable situation is not surprising. And having a dark, looming, ominous figure hovering over you while you sleep at night is probably something we can all universally be off-put by, and especially the fact that you want to get away from it or lash out at it, and you can't move. That's the part that's important.
This doesn't mean that they are true, but merely that it is reasonable and sensible to believe them, based on the available evidence. Given this, what the hell is happening? What is certainly happening is hypnopompic, and less often, hypnagogic sleep paralysis, accompanied by a clear sense of being fully awake, which is to be expected. What is also certainly happening is the strong sense, whether seen or only felt, of a strange, anomalous, often threatening, unexplainable presence. This is not culturally determined, because it happens to people across many cultures, both within one country and also worldwide, and all cultures have words or phrases for the experience. Hypnopompic sleep paralysis typically occurs during the REM, or rapid eye movement portion of the sleep cycle. The REM cycle is essentially the dream portion of our sleep. And so what appears to be happening is that sleepers awaken while in a dream state, but may still incorporate dream elements into this waking state. And as noted, they will experience sleep paralysis for periods ranging from seconds to several minutes. What is odd, however, and cannot be explained by science, is why people from all over the world experience the exact same thing. One might expect that experiencing a waking dream could take an endless variety of forms, yet the Mara or old hag recurs again and again in all cultures. Why is that? Perhaps we have those same experiences because we live in the same world, a world we do not fully understand, and there are things out there that we...
And because we're the same species? But that
still
helps.
Not been able to get to grips with. Dreams may be a vehicle to another world. This seems, on the face of it, to be highly unlikely, although following Hufford, not unreasonable. It's just implausible because evidence is lacking. But we have evidence for what's happening in the brain during these episodes.
Maybe she'll come finish me off. I'm ready. Come get it, hag.
The most reasonable, and probably at present correct position to take, is that we still have barely begun to understand the human brain and mind. The mind is an amazing machine. There is recent evidence that certain...
Maybe there's a little hag in all of us. But, yeah, if she's gonna take me away and we can go be hags together.
Neurons, called LP5 neurons, act as mediators between other types of neurons to create consciousness. This is significant because we still don't understand consciousness or self. We do know that the brain is capable of astonishing
And in
things,
one of these red
although
dots
oftentimes we don't know how.
lives the hag. In one of those little chambers is the hag.
So is sleep paralysis and a visitation by the hag a universal trait that all of us hold within our brain? One thing that could tip this uncertainty one way or the other would be evidence of physical harm, perhaps in the form of bruises that could not be self-inflicted, since this would constitute evidence of an external agent.
What type of bruises cannot be self-inflicted? There's not a part of my body that I don't think I could bruise if I put an effort in.
And this is where we call upon all of our viewers. If any of you have ever had a visitation by the hag and feel comfortable sharing your story with us, please send us a story to mystory@top5s.co.uk. If you have any physical evidence of attacks and feel comfortable sharing this, we'd also love to hear from you. We still don't know what the old hag is. Does she break through the barrier during sleep? Or is there a more scientific and plausible explanation? As of yet, we simply do not know. Regardless, thanks for watching, and sweet dreams.
Y'all having dreams about finding a toilet? I don't think that's quite on par with old hag, but... So here's somebody sharing their experience. This guy's name's Alan Chapman. Shaman Oaks. I don't know what that is. Hold on, I'm gonna look at his page real quick. Alright, a place for near-death experiences and other spiritual experiences. Explore the topic of life after death. Also, I am not a shaman or an oak. I was living in Sherman Oaks, California, and thought Shaman Oaks was a memorable and unique channel. Okay. Okay, and then the disclaimer. Okay, Shaman Oaks. What you got for us?
Today I want to talk about sleep paralysis / the old hag. I know I said I was going to talk about lucid dreaming, but as I was thinking about my lucid dreaming story, I first have to tell this story because they kind of go together. You'll understand what I mean when I talk about lucid dreaming. It's pretty interesting.
Shaman Oaks, exploring the rabbit hole.
So one night when I went to bed, I had this dream. And in this dream, I'm walking up these stairs with this person. They go, "Oh, just so you know, there's an old lady ghost that haunts this room that you're about to sleep in." And I just was like, I don't care about no old lady ghost. I'll fuck an old lady ghost up. I'm really brave in my sleep, apparently. So anyways, he leads me up into this room and I go to sleep. I go to sleep and my next memory is me waking up in my bed. I open my eyes and I feel this old lady's hand on my shoulder. I'm laying on my side staring at the wall and I can feel each individual bony finger on my arm and she's just kind of like pushing on me. And I feel...
That's rare to be sleeping on your side and get hagged too. Most of the time it happens when you're on your back.
In my ear, I feel hair kind of like dangling on the side of my face. And she whispers in my ear,
"Oh, it's Mary Shaw. She had no children, only dolls. And if you see her in your dreams, do your best not to scream." I think that's about the best I could do.
"Just leave." And my initial reaction is, oh, okay, this is that old lady ghost. I'll fuck her up. And I can't see her. I'm just staring directly at the wall. And I'm going to clench my fist because I'm going to just swing and hit her. Right then, I realized I'm paralyzed. I can't move.
How did you clench your fist if you were paralyzed?
And then she pushes me down into the bed. I can feel myself sink into the bed, and she just starts screaming. Let's just say that shit terrified me. I was fucking frozen. I was just sitting there staring at the wall with this hand just being pushed down into the bed with all of her might. And I just think in my head, because I can't move a muscle, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. So after I've said about 5 I'm sorries, I feel the weight come off of me and it goes back towards my closet. My closet was on the side of the bed. And as soon as that happens, I can move and I go, whoom, and I pop up out of bed and I feel like I see a white mist go into my closet. And I just sat in my bed going, what the fuck was that? What?
That does sound like a hypnopompic state. I don't know if this would be I guess it's a hagging, because, you know, there's some variables. The scream was really unique.
The fuck was that? Because I don't remember blinking in this whole time. My eyes were open. Like, people say, oh, you were asleep. I mean, maybe. The thing with sleep paralysis is they say you are dreaming, you have a dream while you're still awake, or you wake up in the middle of a dream and you still have that dream. All I know is that shit was fucking terrifying, and I could not sleep for the rest of the night. I sat up in bed, I posted on Facebook, because I'd never heard of sleep paralysis before, I never heard of the old hag, and so I wrote it on Facebook saying, what the fuck was this? And then I had friends say, oh, that's sleep paralysis, I have it all the time, or this one of my friends, Aaron from the Synchronicity video, said, it looks like you got visited by the old hag. So then I started Googling the old hag. Who's the old hag? And apparently it's been around for centuries. People have this old lady.
Yeah, I would say my first experience with the old hag would have been in 2005. It would have been 2005, because Ian was still a baby. But it was definitely sometime between 2005 and 2007. My second experience, which happened more often, was in, would have been 2012 to 2015. And it was actually, it was one of the tipping points for my deconstruction of, because I was regionally, I was like getting into like the ghost hunter scene and doing, going to haunted locations and cemeteries and stuff like that. I've been doing this for years, but, and that was kind of the tipping point that none of this, I've been a bit jaded, I guess.
It sits on their chest. They wake up usually seeing an old lady sitting on their chest, staring down at them, and they can't move. And I don't know why it's always an old lady. Usually it's an old lady. People tend to have an old lady or shadow people. I've never had shadow people, but I fucking have the old lady. It's terrifying. After I read the story that people usually wake up...
And that's the thing, is that my brain infers that it's an old lady. I can't actually see... Especially the one when it was visiting me in the dark. It was just a silhouette. It was all I could see was that shaggy ass silhouette standing over me and feel it, hands on my chest. But when it was coming at me in the lit room when I was working overnights and stuff, it was a. I could actually see the hairs and stuff, because it wasn't like black hair, it was like ginger hair.
With her sitting on...
Yes, I got attacked by a ginger hag. My hag is ginger.
Their chest. I refused to sleep on my back ever again. Because I'm like, if I woke up one night and I saw an old woman sitting on my chest, I would die. I'd fucking die. I would just die right there. I'd be like, done. Gone. Don't care. I'm done. Shit was fucking terrifying. For years, I refused to sleep on my back in case this ever happened again. So, what is it? What's the scientific explanation? So the scientific explanation is you had an upper and a downer before you went to bed, so your mind was really active, yet you had a sedative that was trying to put your body to sleep. And that's what causes these reactions. So I started thinking, did I do that? And I had gone to a bar the night before. I was feeling sick, so I didn't have any alcohol. I had black tea, and then I came home and I was like, fuck, I shouldn't have had caffeine. I won't be able to sleep. So then I had a melatonin. And if you've ever had melatonin, that shit will also give you very vivid dreams. So what do you guys think of that? Have you ever had that? Have you ever had the old hag? This is going to lead into my lucid dream video, or my lucid dream experience, my first lucid dream experience, kind of started with another one of these experiences. So I wanted to tell this part first because it's going to make sense in the next video.
So, I have lucid dreams too. Not as often as I've had a hag experience, but most of my experiences trying to lucid dream have gone badly. The most recent, the last time, it was when I was living in Missouri, and it was like in a guest room and everything. I was in a strange bed, sleeping on my back, and suddenly, I'm pulled whoosh, under the bed, and then I wake up. That was enough. Hello, how to rule an asteroid.
And then lucid dreaming is going to open a whole other can of worms in terms of, well, I'm going to say that for the next video. So if you're not a subscriber, please subscribe. Please like the video if you did. Hopefully you didn't watch this right before bed and you can sleep tonight. I got a new tattoo. I don't know if you can see it.
Cool.
If you want to check it out, go to my Instagram, @AlanChapman, at Instagram. Like my Facebook page,
Shaman Oaks, yeah. We got instructions on how to encounter the hag. This is from All Things Creepy, which looks like they have some pretty cool stuff. I've keep seeing Flatwood Monster stuff. I guess I need to talk about the Flatwood Monster. Everybody's talking about it, and it was in my thing. It was in my community feed. All right, so pretty basic. They cover a lot of the same kind of stuff we do. Yeah. The man in the blue suit. Washed up in Panama, huh? All right. I'm not going to get distracted. I'm not going to get distracted by this. I am interested in that, though. Could marine iguanas be the next mosasaur? Because marine iguanas are herbivores, so no. But, yeah, I want to... already watched that one. Here we go. All right, here's the one we run. Let's go.
So in the past I've made several videos about the hag, her origin tales. However, today we're going to be looking at how you can actually induce an episode. How you can actually increase the chances of you being visited by the hag. This is All Things Creepy. Let's begin. So, as I'm sure you're all aware, hag sightings virtually all take place during sleep paralysis. A fairly common phenomenon that occurs when your body perceives you to still be dreaming and so paralyzes you whilst you're actually awake, and even projects some images from your dream onto the real world. So in reality, the best way to induce a hag attack is to first try to induce sleep paralysis. One of the primary ways to increase the chances of you having a sleep paralyzation episode is to lay on your back when you sleep. This is also quite relevant to the hag theory because the hag often puts pressure on an individual's chest, and in order to do that, the person is often laying prone on their back. Another way to induce sleep paralysis is to try and avoid itching if your body has an itch. This will trick your brain into thinking that you've already paralyzed your body, and you might actually be able to enter some areas of the sleep stage before you're ready and see images projected onto the real world and become paralyzed. Not pleasant, but that's one way to do it. Now to try and...
Really? I don't know if how effective that would be. I mean, I don't know. Like, if you try to resist itching. Because I try to do that with, like... Especially if it's cold. If it's, like, cold, I'll try to do that with, like, going to the bathroom or something. And be like, maybe I can just hold it, go back to sleep, and go away. Which it never does, but, like... but not itching.
A hag attack specifically, it might be worth visualizing the hag before you do these previous steps. If you're not a very imaginative,
priming your brain,
visual person, try to draw the hag or look at a picture of the hag and then imagine that as you're sleeping. That way she will imprint on you, and when you go into the dream state you will see images of the hag, most likely. There have been accounts of people experiencing the hag whilst attempting to lucid dream, so it might be worth attempting these steps as well. Lucid dreaming can actually be quite beneficial and even entertaining. To an extent, you can actually take control of your dream rather than just being a passive audience. So if you, say, wanted to fly in a dream that had nothing to do with flying, you could just suddenly do it. However, of course, the dangers of this are you leave yourself prone to sleep paralysis and things like the hag and shadow people appearing more and more frequently when you wake up. Now, of course, all of these methods are dubious.
Why would they appear when you wake up? They're hypnopompic creations.
They're just stuff that has been self-reported to work. However, there's some actual neural chemicals that have been associated with lucid dreaming and, by extension, sleep paralysis and the hag sightings.
Oh, the science. Here we go. We're going to get some science, y'all.
Is a neurotransmitter in the brain, often associated with stuff like Alzheimer's, wherein a lack of it causes the disease. However, there are some supplementations that actually increase this and create more vivid dreams in your mind. However, they also increase your chances of getting a lucid dream and therefore sleep paralysis. Melatonin is another chemical associated with the sleep-wake cycle that has also been associated with increased rates of lucid dreaming. You can raise your melatonin levels by simply sleeping in the dark.
Yeah, I mean, that's why you want to cover the window. That's why people put like a sleep mask on.
Or walking around in the dark, just being exposed to less light. So there you are, use that information very carefully. I may even try these steps myself and give you guys an update. Thank you all for watching. Like the video if you did, share it with your friends, and of course if you haven't already, subscribe for more creepy content.
Creepy content. Alright. And that was all things creepy. I will have to revisit this page. I'm actually going to subscribe. And ring the bell. That's what I want you to do for my page too. So if you haven't, if you're not subscribed to the Hive, or if you are subscribed and you don't have the bell rung, go ahead and ring it. It'll just let you know when we're rocking and a reeling on the show. So that was the old hag. What do y'all think? What do we think? Is she a real phenomena? Is there something actually happening there? Is there an entity? Is it a fabrication of our brains? If so, why is everybody reporting so similar? Etc. etc. I want y'all to talk about it in the comments. That's where I want you to talk about it at. And then come here tomorrow morning, on Saturday morning, to watch whatever live topic we're covering, because live from the Hive is where it's at on Saturday morning. All these people in the live in the side chat here, they can't be wrong, right? It's got to be a good. It's got to be a good time, right? Come on, come hang out. All right. So please remember to be kind, take care, and we will see you next time. Mwah. All right, so live from the Hive audience. Thank you so much for sticking around. Oh, we did like hemorrhage viewers that last segment. I don't know what was up with that, but regardless, please stick around. I have more show to come after this little short intermission, and that's going to go into, and I haven't watched this video, so I'm kind of excited about it. But it's going to be about OOPAs. OOPAs. Do you know what OOPAs are? Well, or sometimes people call them OOPArts, but I like OOPAs better. OOPA. 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 All right. I'll see you guys in just a few minutes.
Did the evolutionists just kill a pterodactyl? Or did they finally catch up to the creationists?
Obviously, there's not going to be a ton of talk about these things. And the thing is, I do believe there was talk about these things. I believe if we study history, the Confederates were able to shoot pterodactyls, back in the Civil War. And they spread these things out. Anybody can look it up online. They spread these things out. And this is a historical fact. So, they spread this thing out, and it's got a huge wing length. And it's a pterodactyl they shot. So, of course, these things have been around. Now, they went extinct, obviously, slowly, but surely. And so, I don't believe that just because, at some point in time, coming from your perspective, that, just because they stopped talking about it means that they never saw it, when we have all this evidence that they've seen it.
Hello, my name is John Pendleton, and I'm speaking to you from Zacatecas, Mexico, center of Mexico. And today I'm going to tell you of my project to attract and capture a real living pterodactyl dinosaur.
But to the Christian, it makes common sense. Of course, there could be a few still alive. That's the first sighting I've heard of in Fort Worth, Texas. I've heard of them in Arizona. A friend of mine knows where some of them live, and he's going to go catch them and put them in a dinosaur adventure land he's going to build. And I can't reveal the details yet.
They're a form of what people call pterodactyl. But if you consider them descended from some type of ramphorhynch or pterosaur.
All right, hello, my beauties and bees, and welcome to another installment of The Week in Weird. Today, we are getting weird with this. We're gonna get no Tartarian vampires. That was last week. There we go. All right, so this week, the audience voted to talk about out-of-place artifacts, or as they're delightfully known, OOPAs. Yes, I love that word, OOPA. Some people call them OOParts. The video that we're watching today actually calls them OOParts in the description or in the title, but I like OOPAs better. That's just my personal opinion, my personal feelings about it. So do with that what you will. But today, the channel called Mystery History 2 will be teaching us about OOPAs. And there's not too much. I guess they got a link to the main channel too here, but we're watching it on the second channel, the sub channel. All right, what do you got to offer us? Let's see. All right.
Recently covered the impressive ancient dwellings known as dolmens, which can be found littering most of the European countries.
That was the Flintstones house.
Countryside. Enormous ancient structures, which we feel were left by a surviving, less capable branch of an earlier civilization, still possessing advanced knowledge, allowing them to build with such stones. Surviving remnants of the group, we also believe, were responsible for the masterfully constructed ancient ruins which can be found upon the same continents. Additionally, this era within human history was the inspiration for an animated TV show, namely the Flintstones. Curiously, the Flintstones, dubbed the modern Stone Age family,
oh, he does talk about the Flintstones. I'll be damned.
Could easily be mistaken for a lost advanced civilization. Did the makers of the Flintstones know something we are currently unraveling regarding the builders of the Flintstones?
Yes, Hanna-Barbera was ahead of their time, and they knew that there were an ancient Flintstone tech civilization of the past.
Homes, namely the dolmens. Or is it all a mere coincidence? Some of these dolmens still possess as yet unexplained evidence which flies in the face of academics worldwide. Sites such as the Dolmen of Menga, found near Malaga in Spain. This massive dolmen, one of the largest megalithic sites in Europe, is a prime example of the unexplained features which defy current explanation.
Why are they
the
unexplained?
dolmen is 902 feet long, 20
You're just asserting that they're unexplained, though. Why are they unexplained?
feet wide and 115 feet in height. It was built with 32 megaliths, the largest of which weighing over 200 tons. Nearby is another impressive dolmen, known as De Vera, discovered between 1903 and 1905 by brothers Antonio and Jose Vera of Antequera. This site also possesses some of the most impressive megaliths to be found in any dolmens anywhere in Europe. Who built these incredible structures? How did
like Neolithic people, it looks like?
They build them? La Roche-à-Feu, in the French department of Ille-et-Vilaine in the Brittany region, was named after a legend claiming that the stones were brought by ferry.
Say, I've heard it speculated that the Flintstones actually live beneath the cloud bank in the Jetsons verse.
This clearly inspired by their inexplicable nature. A name of fairy rock was given to many French dolmens or covered walkways. Regardless of whether our own theory is correct, the still surviving features of many of these ancient dolmens is clearly in direct contradiction with attested theory. Further alternative
In
study
what way?
is desperately needed of structures we find highly compelling.
Some of them are glacial radicals, I'm sure. It definitely does look like a lot of them were built, but some of the stuff that you showed, some of the images that you included, I'm not convinced aren't glacial radicals.
There are many enigmatic, unexplained, ancient mysteries which we have covered here on our channel.
Why did your voice just change? Ah!
Many mysterious ruins which are slowly revealing their secrets to us. However, what must be the most intriguing of the historical subcategories has to be the OOPAs, out-of-place artifacts that have been found all over Earth. These mystifying items are the only subject within the field which can shed their own very unique lights upon the distant past, and sometimes hard to believe possibly.
I'm not getting what's wrong with these items you're showing. You're gonna have
attached to their ages. The island of Samos within Greece is home to a number of these particular artifacts. 1.5 kilometers off the coast of Turkey, this small island has a big history. Within the island's capital museum is a wide range of very impressive artifacts. The most interesting among the collection is undoubtedly the strange bronze artifact, which according to academia, merely depicts a strange form of unknown carriage that would have once been pulled by horses. However, some also believe that the strange animals are actually depicting a form of periscope, and that the entire artifact is actually that of an ancient submarine. Additionally, there also exists another amazing artifact that we felt was worth a mention, found within private collection. Originally a religious idol, what do you think this wooden artifact is depicting? Could it actually be that of modern-day paragliders, somehow sent back in time?
Why would you even speculate that this paragliders? Pareidolia strong. This looks like a bench of some type that they're sitting on. Or a throne, maybe? A couch? There's no indication that they're gliding, but it looks like they might have like a parasol above them to protect them from the sun.
And depicted by this once ancient people as a religious vision? It's an incredible, if rather imaginative thought, but it is testament to such artifacts' intriguing nature. There are many incredible out-of-place artifacts that can be found all over Earth. Each one just waiting to spark our interests. Thanks for watching, guys, and until next time, take care.
And they're gonna keep being weird and like closing the video, but there's like 20 more minutes here.
The chronological dating of our technological development and capabilities within antiquity are often correlated and judged upon the developments within heat management of metal refinery. For example, one of our strongest arguments against the modern-day attested view that ancient Egyptians were the builders of the Sphinx, the pyramids, the tombs, etc., is partly based upon their lack of ability in heating a furnace to a sufficient enough temperature.
Oh, I thought it was racism. Isn't it racism? Isn't that why brown people couldn't build pyramids?
To create the hardened metal tools needed to penetrate and carve such hard stones. The Nanjing Belt is an extremely rare find that has unsurprisingly vanished from public view, preventing any further analysis, although the existence of these artifacts was officially noted in several places and was indeed analyzed by several specialists. What is amazing regarding the Nanjing Belt is its age, but most importantly, what it is.
Nanjing Belt. Nanjing Belt. Okay. From ancient origins. Okay, let's see. Nanjing Belt and its many mysteries. Why were they talking about Egypt? Yeah, I'm confused now. All right, what's in the tomb? Noted 3rd century. And just to be clear, this is from like a conspiracy site. This isn't like real history or real archaeology here. This is pseudo archaeology. There's only people talking about this. Okay.
Is made of. In 1952, 2 tombs were found within Yixing City in China. One of the tombs also had a clear date inscribed upon its inside. It stated that they were buried on the 20th of September of the 7th year of Yuan Kang, the late general of Zhao, 1700 years ago. When the belt was initially retrieved, it was sent for analysis at the chemistry department of Nanjing University. The results were astonishing: 10% copper, 5% manganese, and the remaining was 85% pure aluminum. However, the development of aluminum is a very modern achievement, requiring extreme heats to smelt, heats that we believe were impossible to manage at the time. Alumina is dissolved in molten cryolite at 1000 degrees C, with a melting point of pure alumina being 2054 degrees Celsius. So, the question persists: how could such an artifact exist? A question once taken up in the West by 3 scholars, Butler, Glidewell, and Pritchard, at St. Andrews University. The abstract sums up their work, quote, "Pieces of aluminum, supposedly parts of a set of belt ornaments, were found in a Jing Dynasty tomb during excavations in the 19th."
So aluminum's the problem. Okay, because yeah, aluminum smelting is modern, but has anybody corroborated the chemical makeup of the belt since the initial review or evaluation to see what the composition really was?
1950s. The authenticity of these finds was questioned at the time in view of the technology required to isolate aluminum from its ore. Examination of the thermodynamic requirement for this process demonstrates unequivocally that the temperature required for this process is greatly in excess of that possible with Jing Dynasty technology, and so the finds cannot be authentic. Unfortunately, again, we find ourselves in familiar waters.
And we got to remember, I'm looking at this right now, I'm not just pulling this out of my ass, that aluminum, although not used as metal in the ancient world, was very it was well known and used for things like dyes. Yeah, he's not citing any sources, just making claims. Let's see here. So, I'll show you what I'm looking at here. just the history of aluminum. Used for dyeing, made it a commodity. So like, and there's aluminum in a lot of stuff we still use today, but the idea that aluminum would be present in this buckle is fine. Well, the buckle is made out of 85% aluminum is kind of crazy, but the early history starts as early as the 5th century. And I guess I should say for the do I have any British people in here? Aluminium? How do you all say it? Aluminum? I don't know. Y'all say it weird. Pliny the Elder. It could be shaped. Look at this. Roman writer Petronius mentioned in his novel Satyricon that an unusual glass had been presented to the emperor. After it was thrown on the pavement, it did not break, but only deformed. It was returned to its former shape by hammering. After learning from the inventor that nobody else knew how to produce this material, the emperor had the inventor executed so that it did not diminish the price of gold. Variations of the story. So this is kind of like folktale kind of about the origins. Variations of the story told by Pliny the Elder. The Roman history by Roman historian Cassius Dio. Some sources suggest this glass could have been aluminum. It's possible aluminum containing alloys were produced in China in the reign of the first Jin dynasty. Let's look at that. All you have to do is freaking fact check, people. Come on. So here we go. This is what we're looking at. Oh, no. Damn it. Now flip me back all the way up here. So aluminum was plentiful and could be reduced by coke in the presence of copper, giving aluminum copper alloys. Existing works by Chinese alchemists show that alloys with a small aluminum content could be produced in China. The Chinese did not have the technology to produce aluminum, and the temperature needed, around 2,000 degrees, were unachievable. A number of high aluminum artifacts were found in China, supposedly relating to the time of the first Jin dynasty. But it was later shown the technology needed to make them was not available at the time, and thus the artifacts were not authentic. Here, Jin Dynasty tomb can be authenticated in Interdisciplinary Sciences, a Science Review, page 88 through 94. Oh, I don't need to get to the wolves yet.
Scholars, 3 in fact, with a conclusion based solely upon historical assumptions. Unfortunately, the artifact was seemingly too controversial for some, and it has disappeared, sadly, quite possibly forever. During a previous video titled...
Well, some copper can be cold worked, though. The copper that was found in the Great Lakes area in Upper Michigan, especially, that's just laying out on the ground, it can be worked cold. There was a whole industry around it.
Secret missions into the Great Pyramid, in which we covered the most bizarre of artifacts, once found in a seemingly inaccessible shaft, eventually discovered to be an entry shaft into the now named Queen's Chamber. Just how this bronze ball, hook, and several bizarre fragments of wood...
Ooh, Equus, that's interesting. They used high winds to get the temperature up. I'm interested.
...found their way into the pyramids is unknown. We shared the
missed that
fact that the
lesson.
wood
Hold on.
found there, how this be an entry shaft into the now named Queen's Chamber. Just how this bronze ball, hook, and several bizarre fragments of wood found their way into the pyramids is unknown. We shared the fact that the wood had become conveniently lost, thus preventing any future dating of the
Conveniently
artifacts,
lost.
or indeed
That's like the
the
Smithsonian conspiracy.
possible attempt to have once penetrated the pyramid far before the Spanish invasion of Egypt, their modern rediscovery, or indeed before the entrance to the pyramid was located. However, in a rather strange yet fortunate twist of fate, sitting within a collection of ancient Asian relics within Scotland, an Egyptian archaeologist was shocked to rediscover these cedar fragments, once mislabeled and thus never classified, lost for almost 70 years, yet refound within an old cigar box. One has to wonder with our prior hypothesis, and indeed the convenience
What's the problem with these artifacts? Did
of
he
the
say?
wood somehow becoming lost. Was this a deliberate act by someone? Possibly someone who realized the controversy attached to this artifact. What we find most compelling, however, and a possible motive to hide such an artifact, are the now realized result of modern carbon dating, showing that the wood dates to somewhere between 3341 and 3094 BC, long before the claimed construction of the pyramid. Furthermore, although many have claimed that counterweights and timber structures were utilized in the construction of the pyramids, this wood...
So scraps of wood that are in the pyramid that are older than the pyramid, wood found in the pyramid would almost universally be older than the pyramids. How could you have younger? I mean, stuff that was brought in there after it was built for sure, but like the timber being harvested before the pyramids were built is not a. I don't get it. I would love to learn more about smelting and metalwork, but I know they incorrectly dispute those copper artifacts that Bree just mentioned. As we know, anthropology was hugely racist until just a few decades ago, and still is in many ways. And the legacy of that still corrupts much knowledge.
not only predates the claimed date of their creation, but does so
That was Ember, by the way.
by some 1,000 to 2,000 years. So any mainstream explanation for this dating anomaly is severely lacking. However, it fits perfectly with our original hypothesis and is indicative not only of a far earlier date of construction, but could indeed have been a possible successful attempt at penetration.
Or what if the piece of an older wooden, whatever it was, an old piece of construction equipment was in here that you know, that or maybe they tore down an older structure, I don't know, and this was inside that, but that doesn't mean the correct answer is not to redate the pyramid.
Trading the pyramid's deepest inner chambers, simply due to the mysterious yet impressive location in which these enigmatic artifacts
Welcome back, Kelly.
were found and subsequently retrieved from. Curatorial assistant Abir Aladani found the fragments of wood as she perused the Asia section of the archives of the University of Aberdeen. Quote, "Once I looked into the numbers of our Egypt records, I instantly knew what it was and that it had effectively been hidden in plain sight in the wrong collection. I'm an archaeologist and have worked on digs in Egypt, but I never imagined it would be here in northeast Scotland that I'd find something so important to the heritage of my own country." End quote. As you can imagine, we find the wooden artifacts.
I think most important artifacts to Egypt and ancient Egypt can be found in the UK. So
highly compelling. We have come to a point in the age of our civilization, thanks to the efforts of countless individuals who, in the pursuit of truth, specifically the reality of a lost past, a lost civilization once possessing now lost technologies, has finally arrived on the main stage of debate. It has come to a point of critical mass, either having been made aware of their existence, or indeed realizing or stumbling upon this hidden truth independently. Regardless, we have uncovered an immense array of proof to not only confirm their existence, but a proof now all but overwhelming to argue with. The entire planet, literally littered.
This is all bloviating. Show me the artifacts.
With impossible remnants, left by...
You said you had amazing ancient OOPAs. I want to see them.
What we believe was not only one, but part of an array of lost civilizations, several of which being past global superpowers. Yet, I digress.
Oh, really?
The artifacts found throughout Giza, for example, demonstrate a seemingly impossible ability to move and carve stones with the tools mainstream academics would put in the builder's hands, making such creations impossible. There exists within the museum's archives themselves a smorgasbord of vases and stone cores, lay for all to see. Each suggest that they were not only the result of some form of advanced lathe work, but other far superior and powerful tools far ahead of that of the copper chisel, which to claim was...
It was sand. The secret was sand. The whole time. You could take a piece of copper and put sand down and grind on it, and it would start to grind a little... Yeah. And it's not surprising that the people on the windy desert of the of North Africa would be the ones to discover that, hey, you can sandblast or sand grinds stone away.
The culprit, we feel, is now nothing more than an offense to one's intelligence, when the evidence to suggest otherwise is in front of one's face at the same time. We have previously covered the vases supposedly made using nothing but copper in the past, specifically the tri-lobe disc. Yet the many other members of the collection, known as the Saqqara vases, not only demonstrate a mastery of lathe work, but some are so impossibly delicate that when attempted to be explained with modern paradigm, one is left utterly baffled. What lost technologies or techniques were used in the creation of these vases? Article 99 from the Anorthosite Nice catalog, but one example of this extraordinary ability to either cut or possibly mold these stone vases, with wafer-thin edges and a shape formed with the lip, demonstrating they would be impossible to recreate even with the advanced technology of a lathe. Who made these seemingly impossible artifacts?
So there's been a lost technique to create these is the problem. It's a technique, it's not even a material. Usually OOPAs are a material. It's like, hey, this is made out of steel. They didn't have steel back then. Or sometimes they go way, way back. It's like, hey, this hammer was found in a carboniferous rock. So obviously humans have been around since the Carboniferous, or there was no Carboniferous and the Earth's only 6,000 years old.
Along with the unmissable Great Pyramids, highly compelling. Elongated skulls, along with their origins, are undoubtedly one of the most heavily debated areas within modern archaeology.
Do we consider, like, human remains artifacts now? I guess if they were decorated, and an argument could be made that these people were decorating their skulls when they did their skull bindings, but that's what causes this. This is skull binding.
Many independently funded researchers who have explored and subsequently exposed vast arrays of unusual and as yet inexplicable features surrounding a particularly few examples of these intriguing and incredibly puzzling artifacts. For regardless of known head-binding practices, a well-studied and historically an extremely common practice, thus one which modern science has an extensive understanding of.
Yes, it was an ancient ashtray was that last one. That makes sense. Thank you, Theo, for pointing that out. Human skulls are made by humans. No, I'm an archaeo and Human remains are not artifacts.
including the effect this had on the shape of the skull, makes any skull which endured these traditions are easily to identify post-mortem. The most commonly found incorporated wooden boards pressed upon the head, creating large flat areas along the frontal lobes. Pressing the brow area of the skull upward, this malformation creates a crease or bulge near the normal napping areas of the skull, as seen in these photos of remains.
With those remains in Croatia, but in South America they used a different method.
Currently claimed as a suspected alien found in Croatia. Yet, due to this knowledge of malformation, we can easily identify that it is indeed of a Homo sapien. This so-called crease is easily identifiable upon bone structure. However, as previously mentioned, there exists a particular few whose remains not only have an elongated cranium, but the individual—
I don't think that this one is from Skullbine. I believe this is an infant with hydrocephaly. Or hydrocephaly, however you want to pronounce it.
in which they belong not only possess said craniums undeniably formed via natural processes, but are identical in appearance to millions of witness testimonies describing what we all now know as the Greys, with huge eyes, long, wide craniums, frames of a tiny stature, and
the irony of me talking about that earlier in the show and being like, hey, do you all want me to talk about gray aliens? They seem to come up in every other topic, and we never covered them just by themselves because they're everywhere.
Thin pelvis. Remains of tiny humanoids, possibly visitors to our planet, who may have crashed here, subsequently marooned upon our planet, is an account which has been told before. We have in the past explored the compelling—
They are babies with infants with hydrocephaly.
Story surrounding the Dropa discs, an ancient OOPA that, according to a number of individuals who have examined and tested them, tell this exact tale. Long barrows, granges, earthworks, and henges found across the United Kingdom all have rumors surrounding long-headed skulls being covered up after having been found at the sites. Passionately protected from trespassers, a vast number of the largest barrows have never been opened. 12-ton stones blocking the entrance—
The barrows can be— like, so far you've not really talked about many artifacts. You talked about dolmens, which are structures, and now you're talking about human remains. This video is called Most Amazing Ancient OOPAs,
clearly suggesting they are buildings of tremendous importance, but without enormous multi-million-pound machinery, permits, and most importantly, permission from the landowners. Conveniently, all these incredible—
Ooh, I like that coin now. Is that a coin? Is that an alien coin?
Private lands. We will probably never find what's inside, but many rumors abound, like those which circle Bella's Nap, tales which tell of more elongated skulls exhumed from the surrounding earth during a normal—
I would do a video on elongated skulls, but this ain't it, buddy.
Exploration. Yet, regardless of this seemingly meticulous suppression in the UK, an incredible find has nonetheless been unearthed in Crimea. Many of the intriguing features of the remains are the same characteristics which gave rise to the elongated—
I picked your video because it said Most Amazing Ancient OOPAs, and you're not delivering.
Skulls of Peru's popularity. Yet this skull still possesses its tiny, complete skeleton. The eye sockets, which once housed the creature's eyes, were enormous, and although the entire frame of the creature is of a small—
Oh, I haven't had coffee today because we're at the new place and we don't got the coffee maker and stuff here, so yeah, I don't have any coffee.
Size. The lack of a pronounced pelvis would have made them very slender and would have emphasized the size of the cranium. It is a strong candidate for the only complete elongated skull remains in existence. We find the elongated skull highly compelling. In 1932, gold prospectors searching within the San Pedro Mountains of Wyoming would make a groundbreaking discovery.
Pedro is
a
also
find
not an
which-
artifact. Pedro is a human remains. Pedro's not.
For a brief period of time, exposed to the world the past existence of a group of people, a secret, unexplainable race, which has been successfully covered up for over a century. Cast into the realm of folklore.
Oh, I see what you mean. Thank you, Dave, for buying me a coffee. If you want to buy me one, you can buy me one too. I could use all the help I can get because we just moved and things are tight right now.
This group of people could be attributed to tales of gnomes or hobbits. The once native crow.
Hobbits? The crow famously encountering hobbits.
People spoke of their ferocious nature for many hundreds of years. No taller than 36 inches in height. According to William R. Corliss in his 1978 book, Ancient Man, A Handbook of Puzzling Artifacts, citing the Anthropological Institute.
I'm going to do another episode on OOPAs because this is disappointing. I wish I'd had time, but with all the movement and stuff, I didn't have time to preview this one. But I'm so annoyed that this is not about OOPAs.
1876. An ancient Little People graveyard of vast proportions was once found in Coffee County. It was estimated.
Yeah, I'm sure we talked about all of this when we did our Pedro Mountain Mummy video, but this is not. And you know what? Well, I don't know what that is, but let's see if we can find a better video that's maybe something shorter. Prehistoric OOPAs found during mining. This is the same channel, though. So you better not give me a bunch of
number of artifacts found
skeletons.
in varying parts of the world, which, due to the immense age of the strata they were discovered within, fly in the face of current paradigms in regards to the chronology of man. Iron pots, zinc vases, even imprints of ancient chariot wheels, found in numerous coal seams, and found by people in positions of responsibility.
Yeah, this is more what I'm looking
often
for.
testify not only in regards to their legitimacy, but are often accompanied by the lump of coal in which they were found, still possessing the intriguing imprint upon their surface, undeniably supporting the testimonies of these individuals, all but proving authenticity beyond doubt. Like that of the iron pot and its accompanying coal block, which was its tomb.
The eagles were obviously thunderbirds.
Carbon dating has indicated that the pot is an astonishing 300 million years old. However, as time goes on and coal mining, along with many other mining activities, becomes more rapid and advanced in nature, it is simply a matter of time before even more mysterious and unexplainable artifacts are also found. Unfortunately, due to the controversial
I
nature
think that's that portal to hell mine.
of these artifacts, it is very likely that a number of them have either been shrugged off or actively destroyed before ever achieving
Bro, if
widespread
you say that this mine is an artifact, I'm going to be so annoyed.
claim. However, fortunately, the next artifact of interest, just like that of the many others we have previously covered, can not only be seen as yet
They included skeletons and structures. They weren't artifacts.
another smoking gun, indicating that there has been a number of advanced phases within human civilization. But yet again, this timeline could, in all possibility, date back an astonishing 300 million years. Although modern society has been taught that we are at the height of human accomplishments, many of these techniques we currently claim as our own accomplishments could have been achieved an unimaginably long time ago, far back within Earth's history. Dated to the same age as that of a number of other artifacts, which we have covered in the past, A group of brass doorknobs were once abandoned, eventually finding their way into a coal seam, which has been dated as 300 million year old geology. Found still encased within this ancient strata,
there we
these
go. Now that's what I'm
astonishing
looking
artifacts
for.
are undeniably of an incredible age. Unfortunately, and rather predictably, not much has been done in regard to mainstream investigation into said artifacts, and their current location, if indeed still in existence, is unclear. Yet fortunately, before their disappearance, photographic evidence was taken, subsequently allowing us to add it to the volume of research and artifacts which not only support our posit of lost civilization, but place human activities an impressive 300 million years back into Earth's history.
300 million year doorknobs, are you sure? Let's see. What's this? Oh goodness. Let's see here. Webarchive.org. What is this, huh? Not found in a coal seam at all. Not in a coal seam at all. Look at this. Shipwreck, known as the doorknob wreck. Oh, goodness. And there's our lumps. Uh-huh. So, not from a coal seam. Even the picture that they're using, this one right here, the brown granite or marble doorknobs, was recovered from a watch case. Yeah. Who do you fooling, mystery history guy?
Who made these brass doorknobs? Could we really be a civilization hundreds of millions of years old? We find the evidence to...
I'm mainstream investigation, bitches. Ooh. I'm like really good at this.
Just such, highly compelling.
I wish it was profitable to debunk nonsense. There's no money in it. Because I'm really good at it.
In 1944, a 10-year-old boy by the name of Newton Anderson was playing in his basement, smashing lumps of coal with a mallet, when he made an amazing discovery. The coal that he was playing with had been mined very near to where he lived in Upshur County, West Virginia, and is largely accepted to be around 300 million years old. Imagine then Newton's and subsequently his parents' surprise when he presented to them this small bell, complete with strange winged figure and its possibly very ancient clapper, later found to be made of iron. Although there are many people who now insist that the dating of the coal must be incorrect, this little bell could also be a long-lost relic, lost within woodland, that over the eons becomes perfectly preserved within the eventual coal seam, lost by an advanced civilization which once inhabited Earth. The bell is considered an antediluvian artifact, or an object of
Garuda
pre-flood
bell?
origin.
Is this the Garuda bell? Okay, hold on. Let's pull that up. The Garuda bell. Oh, Genesis Park has it. Oh, nice. You know it's authentic then. Genesis Park. It's not a strange figure though. It's a Garuda, right? Tell me something good. Why did you disconnect? My headphones just told me they were connected. I'm like, what? All right. I'm just reading about this. Found in West Virginia. Yeah. Oh, Got some conspiracy theory stuff. I need something decent. Come on. Tall Indian. Kept the bell until 2007 when it passed to Genesis Park. Oh, for fuck's sake. Polygraph, which tells me Jack. And then it talks about Charles Ford. I don't know.
By the
But I don't
Institute
trust
for Creation Research, who had the bell submitted for laboratory testing at the University of Oklahoma. Whilst there, a nuclear activation analysis revealed that the bell contained an unusual mix of metals. A mix of metals not uncommon to Earth, but rather unusual for our current civilization to have decided to have manufactured it with, further supporting its authenticity as a very ancient relic. Later on in his life, Newton Anderson spent a great deal of time researching the figure atop the bell.
That's Pazuzu. That's not what was on top of the Garuda bell, though. Is it? No, it doesn't look like Pazuzu. Is it Pazuzu? Yeah, it is Pazuzu. Hell yeah. Okay. No, doesn't look like Pazuzu. Because it's doing a prey thing. Pazuzu generally does his... Okay. All the references I can find go back to Genesis Park. And I don't trust Genesis Park.
He discovered similarities to the Babylonian southwest wind demon called Pazuzu. The demon typically is shown with a prominent headpiece like the bell figure. The Hindu deity, Garuda, is sometimes depicted on top of bells, as is the Egyptian Isis. The kneeling posture with hands
because like it can't be Garuda and Pazuzu at the same time.
Is also quite like Garuda representations, and because of this, some have argued that it must be an Indian Ganta bell. However, these similar and often confusing arguments over very similar deities could be seen as a consequence of cataclysm. Past civilization and the mythologies briefly retained, and all recorded at a time before such belief systems became too clouded with other outside influences. Another rare artifact is this strange handle, also found in coal and fortunately photographed before it vanished forever. Totally petrified and reportedly appeared to have virtually turned to coal.
What is it?
According to those who briefly investigated, another rare artifact is this strange handle, also found in coal and fortunately photographed before it vanished forever. Totally petrified and reportedly appeared to have virtually turned to coal. According to those who briefly investigated it, the handle appeared as well made as any modern handle. What do you think regarding these strange objects? Can coal form and objects petrify faster than we have ever witnessed? Or are these relics indeed millions of years old? Thanks for watching.
I wouldn't be surprised to find out that, say, a little bell might have fallen into a coal supply at some point. That seems more...
Guys, and until next time, take care.
Lake Superior, the largest of the North American Great Lakes. It is also the largest freshwater lake in the world by surface area. Believed to have first been inhabited 10,000 years ago, after the retreat of the last ice age. However, there exists copper mines upon many of the lake's islands.
Oh, we just talked about that. Convenient.
Which many researchers have concluded to be prehistoric. A sophisticated array of tunnels litters the islands, or more specifically, all of North America. Scarred by ancient mine pits as deep as 150 feet, Carbon-14 testing of wood remains found in sockets of copper artifacts indicated they are at least 5,700 years old. although artifacts and evidence at some sites have suggested a date far older than what has been put forward. For example,
That's a skull, not an artifact.
some investigators believe that the mines were not even built by humans, but are the remains of a sophisticated mining operation that was once undertaken by alien visitors many thousands of years ago. Similar in scale to the ancient Carolina mica mines, mica being a material which we use in electrical components. It must be noted that all of these prehistoric mines show evidence of being abruptly abandoned. Whether this is evidence of the death of an unknown king or queen, or evidence for catastrophe is unknown. All along Lakeshore are vestiges of this once highly successful ancient operation. The most astonishing of remnants cataloged publicly has to be the enormous lump of pure copper found in...
I'm not even like impressed by this. I mean, I am impressed by it, but I'm like you're not presenting something mysterious here. This is like well known.
1771, near the bank of the Ontonagon River. In 1945, it was floated downriver on a raft by a James K. Paul and was eventually appropriated by an agent of the United States government. It was then shipped to Detroit and on to Washington, where it eventually slipped into the bowels of the Smithsonian. Known as the Ontonagon Boulder, it weighs 3,708 pounds. It was apparently well known to Native Americans. According to the Keweenaw Bay Indian community, the boulder was used by tribe
Slipped into the basement of the Smithsonian
members to make offerings to its manito, or spirit, to seek improvement in their health and well-being. Just how old is the Ontonagon Boulder, or indeed the mine from which it came?
It's a glacial boulder. It was strewn there. We talked about that earlier today too.
Though many would like you to believe the mines are less than 5,000 years of age, we think many factors surrounding them suggest that they are far older than that.
Dorchester, Massachusetts, USA, in 1852, at Meeting House Quarry, workers were using dynamite to break up the bedrock when an explosion threw an artifact into the light of day after spending many thousands of years under the earth.
This guy has a crazy AI voice. This must be older.
According to geologists, the Roxbury Rock, in which this mysterious artifact was embedded, has been dated as having accumulated between 570 and 593 million years ago during the Ediacaran period. Imagine their surprise when workers spotted a metallic object amongst the debris of the explosion, still partially embedded in a chunk of rock, and now sheared into two pieces from the forces of the blast. A zinc vase covered in flower decorations painted in solid silver. The bell-shaped pot is around 4.5 inches tall and about 6.5 inches long, and was noted as being exquisitely made. The age of the vase has been heavily debated amongst specialists, with many struggling to produce ages smaller than 100,000 years. Additionally, the species of flowers and plants that are illustrated upon the vase also went extinct over 100,000 years ago. Not surprisingly, but rather predictably, the pot, along with all authenticated documents...
What I like about OOPAs, though, is like Ivan T. Sanderson, the guy, the cryptozoologist, had his hands in there. He's actually the one who invented the acronym.
Regarding its discovery mysteriously vanished without trace shortly before a full investigation into its amazing history could take place. The initial discovery was covered on June the 5th in 1852 from the publication of the magazine Scientific American, which confirms its authenticity as indeed being found embedded in the solid ancient stone 15 feet below the surface. But shortly after this coverage, like so many other amazing objects found around the world, vanished without trace. Who made this amazing...
According to my research, that is a 19th century pipe holder from India. Yeah, like it says right here. 19th century pipe holder from India. What are you talking about?
Artifact. When was it made? If we go by the age of the rock in which it was discovered, it is amazingly over 500 million years old, but we may never know.
We recently covered the astonishing discovery made deep within a coal mine under Rostov in Russia fortunately photographed by Mr. Kasatkin, an experienced safety engineer, who discovered the prints of what clearly appears to have been left by chariots' wheels. These seemingly impossible prints are, thankfully, not the only unexplained artifacts to have been found deep within the mines of Earth. In 1912, workers shoveling coal in the municipal electric plant in Thomas, Oklahoma, would make an equally important discovery. As they were breaking up the large lumps of coal in preparation for the furnaces, to their surprise, a small iron pot would be ejected from one of the chunks. Several experts would examine the iron pot over the following few days, all declaring it to be genuine. Apparently, the imprint of the pot could also still be clearly seen in the broken chunks of coal that had encased it for, in all possibility, millions of years. According to Robert O. Fay of the Oklahoma Geological Survey, the Wilburton Mines coal, in which the pot was found, is an incredible 312 million years old. The cup is now displayed at a private museum in southern Missouri.
Private museum in southern Missouri. And found in the Wilburton, Oklahoma mines. The scientific explanation for this is a modern inclusion. Which is what most of this stuff comes down to.
It was fortunately photographed by Robert Nordling, who sent a copy to Frank Lewis Marsh, emeritus professor of biology at Andrews University in Berrien Springs, on 10 January 1949. He forwarded the images to Wilbert H. Rush in 1971. Rush was a professor of biology at Concordia College. This means that we now have several artifacts we know to be in existence, which, according to modern understanding as to the age of coal, are over 300 million years old. The pot is still within a private collection of an unknown collector. During such events as a pyroclastic flow, complete human forms can often be preserved in a fixed position, turned to ash in an instant. Someone turning into a stone fossil with age, however, was thought to be an impossible scenario. That was until 1898, when an extremely controversial discovery was made deep within a copper mine. Although several reports have surfaced over the years of this most peculiar of discoveries, only one has ever managed to stay around long enough to be officially documented. Deep within an old copper mine in Chuquicamata, an ancient stone woman, complete with basket and tools, was discovered. And although a date of only 400 years was preliminarily given, it is clear to the many involved that she is far older than that. The discovery was examined closely by José Toribio Medina, a central figure in Chilean archaeology at the time. He described his findings as follows. The body is that of a female. The depth of the soil where the corpse was found was no more than 6 to 8 feet. And the miner was probably searching the mountain when a sudden collapse buried her. The miner, feeling that the mountain was breaking down, lifted her arms up to protect her head, the position in which her body is preserved. This discovery, although the only one of its kind, is highly controversial, and we suspect this may be because certain individuals are aware of its true antiquity. Beside the body were the remains of a basket, a stone sledgehammer, several stone shovels, sharpened pieces of wood, and a torn bag made of...
Yes, the Copper Man is a mummy. So, Copper Man, also known as the Chuquicamata mummy, was a miner who was initially discovered at a depth of 2 meters inside an ancient mining tunnel. The young man had been trapped by a cave-in, and he was identified as a miner because of the discovery of tools and instruments he had with him that were used to collect copper minerals. The mummified body was found saturated with copper salt, leading to it being well preserved, but with a green tint. The miner's hair was braided. The body is missing one little finger and a toe. An X-ray made by Joseph H. Cross revealed that there is minimal breakage of the bones, and the X-ray shows the artificial occipital flattening deformation of the skull. The Copper Man was found in 1899 and dated to about 550 AD, which is CE. Okay.
Animal hide, all leading to the conclusion that this mummy dates from a very distant time within our history.
No.
After more recent analysis was conducted, it was discovered that it was actually a man, strangely. He also has an unusually shaped skull and a green hue from sulfate and chloride within the copper. It is thought this may have been one of the contributing factors in his marvelous preservation. The Copper Man of Chuquicamata is extremely difficult to research, and although he is clearly of considerable historical importance, his whereabouts may continue to remain vague. Regardless of his known whereabouts, his existence will forever lend credence to a forbidden history here on our planet.
All right. Oh, is this over? Well, I think we're gonna cap this segment here. Very interesting. Oh goodness, I'm blurry. Fix it like this. Ooh, it worked. Sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes it does, though. All right, so that was our exploration into out-of-place artifacts where people claim that, you know, basically like artifacts from the last couple hundred years are actually millions, if not billions of years old. Do I believe in this stuff? No. We've debunked two of them right here in front of your face. We cracked those doorknobs. And that Indian pipe holder thing. Yeah. So, yes. So, thank you so much for sticking with me for this Week in Weird. Please remember to be kind. Take care. And we will see you next time. That was so disappointing. I was, like, hoping that there would be more artifacts. So maybe we talk about the London Hammer. Or maybe we need to just do a segment on Viking. That's what I'm doing. I'm adding Viking artifacts of the Midwest, or runestones, Viking runestones. Yeah, that's what we're doing. We're doing some forbidden history on that. All right. So I'm gonna do an intermission here. Okay. I'm going to come back and we are going to talk about wolves. So if you're here for wolves, don't go anywhere because they're coming up in just a moment, okay? So, run this little ad and then we'll be right back. All right, hello, my beauties and bees, and welcome to, excuse me, that's gonna be a little weird. Oh shit, I'm in New Mexico now. I'd almost forgotten. I don't have to hide anymore. Don't it feel good? All right. Excuse me. We didn't have a dragon. Dang. Sorry, coughing in your ear. Oh. Woo. All right. All right. A few months back, I was on a river in my canoe with my dog in the back. Fun times. All right, so I'm not gonna fall out of frame. Woo! All right, so no, New Mexico, the new one, not the old one. I'm in the land of enchantment, New Mexico, NM. I guess a couple of people heard Mexico, so no, I'm not in Mexico. But I am here to talk about wolves today on Breeze Bestiary. I'm all over the place this morning. All right, so I am here to talk about wolves, and I'm actually going to pop into a channel that I'm already subscribed to, a channel that I actually really enjoy. It's Roanoke Tales. They also have Roanoke Gaming, but yeah, and they talk a lot of what they cover is stuff that we would cover on Weekend Weird or on CrypticCorner. But today it's actually going to be for Breeze Bestiary because at a certain point in history, wolves laid siege to Paris. Yes, the city of Paris, the big metropolis in France, was once conquered by a pack of wolves. So let's go.
The idea of a siege is almost as old as human history. It has been about as long as people have waged war on each other and tried to use every method they possibly could to defeat their opponents. The general idea is that it's always the same. Keep your enemies secured inside of their town or city, block all the exits, and then wait them out. We can look at the siege of Leningrad in World War II, where over the course of about 2 years, more than 500,000 soldiers on each side in the freezing conditions and the brutal fighting before the Red Army prevailed. But the civilians suffered as well. With more than 1 million dying to either violence or lack of food, this marked the ultimate failure of Operation Barbarossa and left the Axis forces fighting a war on two fronts for multiple years, stretching their resources and contributing massively to their defeat.
That's a lot of exhibition about the, the siege of Stalingrad to talk about the wolves.
And while we can look back through history and pick out many other examples, Jerusalem during the Crusades, the Trojan War, there is particularly a strange example that is said to have occurred in France in the 1400s. What's odd about it is not how long it lasted, it isn't how many lives were lost, there wasn't some genius tactic or idea that managed to lift it, and there isn't going to be some hero that appears to rescue all the stricken civilians. It's the fact that the enemy, if the tales are to be believed, weren't human at all. This is the story of the wolf siege of Paris. France in the 1400s was, as many places in Europe were at the time, not an easy place for the average citizen to exist in. The seemingly endless cycles of unrest, war, hunger, and disease were ripping through with alarming regularity.
I gotta show you something about France, late middle-aged France. But to do so, we have to jump all the way down. All right. So when you get into this, this is the Wikipedia list of documented wolf attacks throughout modern history, right? And you'll notice, there's a section of it here, and it shows you where most of these are at. We see sort of a little epidemic in Italy here, attack in Sweden. Epidemic in Italy continues. Sweden some more. Italy. So you see, what a wolf attack epidemic generally looks like in a country. Sweden again, and Italy some more. But suddenly, in right around, the Gévaudan wolf attacks. We've talked about the Beast of Gévaudan recently, actually, so go check that out in CrypticCorner. But we all of a sudden, we have just France just dominating, from the 1770s onward. It's all France. Look at that. That's all France. From the when we're only to the 1780s, it's only been a decade, and we've gone through as much as we went through in the previous century in Italy when we said this is what a normal ratio of wolf attacks in Italy looked like, with a spike. This is unprecedented, right? France. We're not even. We pop back over to Italy for this, but then we're right back into France. And it doesn't stop there. We get into the 1800s. Yeah, got some 19th century French wolf attacks continuing on. I mean, there's Norway, but yeah. Do you see what I'm talking about, though? We got Netherlands popping in there. Back to France. Look at this. Unprecedented. We're only to 1812, right? It's only been about just under 30 years, and we're still having wolf attacks, and they're just eating people, right? There was something, there was something up with the wolf ecology in France during this time period. I don't know how else to describe it. I keep saying unprecedented, but what else can I say? Oh, we got one in Sweden. But most of it's France. Oh, we got Poland. Poland and Prussia making an appearance. But you get my point. You get what I'm talking about here. All the way up to from the 1770s until the 1820s. Until the 1820s, France was just overrun with with the Omegaverse, sure.
Plague had swept through Paris in 1348 for the first time, and not for the last.
You think it's a matter of record keeping as opposed to a matter of prevalence? I guess it drops off, which is my concern. You could be right, but there were other countries that were keeping pretty decent records at the time, I would think. I mean, especially ones that are like neighbors to France, like Germany and Luxembourg.
It devastated the local population, killing many within their numbers, and it would return with alarming frequency over the years, each passing iteration going through the local population and striking them down, man, woman, or youngling. In addition, there was a war in the region. A civil war had erupted in 1407, known as the War I'm about to brutalize, the Amangak
Be safe, Ember.
Burgundian War. That's probably right. And as with all campaigns waged by opposing factors, it was the local people that were just trying to live their lives that were caught in the middle. So how many people were living in Paris around this time? While the exact populations are difficult to track and verify with the same accuracy that we can nowadays, back in the 15th century, most contemporary sources agree that the population of Paris was around in the 1420s, probably going to be about 100,000 people, and had ballooned up to somewhere in the region of 150,000 by the end of the century in 1500. Given that today's events take place in 1450, we'll assume that they were somewhere between these two population numbers living in Paris around the same time.
So over 100,000 people.
Long-suffering Parisians began to suffer from a new problem. A pack of wolves was said to stalk the areas not far outside the city walls, keeping mainly to the woods nearby. These beasts had been known to accost, attack, and...
Do fridge people taste better? That's the question, isn't it?
And then eat occasional lone travelers or merchants that happen to wander too far from the beaten path. The severe cold and lack of food for them at the time had made them hungrier and more desperate. They began to venture closer and closer to civilization and the major urban populations despite the risks that it held. With the freezing conditions limiting their normal food sources, they began to become more bold out of either desperation or necessity. And soon there were reports that the wolves had begun making entry into the city itself in order to find something to eat. They gained entry through the walls of the city that had been erected by King Philippe Auguste or Guste.
It's funny that you mention how poorly Paris is laid out, because like that's one city I know, especially like the in the late 19th century Paris, but because my doctor's office that I grew up in had the wallpaper was a map of Paris, of like 19th century Paris. So I like in my doctor, you know, I would spend hours sitting in there because I had a lot of problems. But reading that wallpaper.
In the 13th century, these had fallen into disrepair in the intervening period, and the lack of maintenance meant that there were gaps in places to access, a route in for anyone or anything that was desperate enough to try. Known to the locals as simply Les Loups de Paris, or Paris, or the Wolves of Paris, stories began to spread amongst the residents. Wolves were spotted on the streets and lurking in the shadows.
It'd be Les Loups Paris, wouldn't it?
They snatched up unwary people and dragged them off. They attacked and killed indiscriminately. Wolves are generally wary of humans and are not by their nature man-killers in most circumstances. However, they had been known to eat human flesh, usually if it had been on like a dead body. There were many reports throughout history of packs of wolves.
Bugbot's on last week's commands. I don't know what to tell you because I've been moving.
Scouring battlefields and ripping the flesh from the fallen. Some think that the wolves, desperate due to hunger, were scavenging the dead bodies of many plague victims that were dumped outside the city walls. And gradually they gained a taste for human flesh. A combination of need, hunger, and desperation led them beginning to make entry to the city itself and attack.
That's such a pretty wolf, though. I want to pet it. I want to pet your scruffy fur.
Live prey to eat. The leader of the wolf pack was named Coutard by the citizens of Paris, roughly translating to bobtail. He was an enormous specimen and brutal by all accounts, showing absolutely no fear and seemingly willing to engage with
brutal by all accounts. He was a pupper. He was a good boy. He's a hungry good boy.
Whoever came up against his pack, it meant that they could fill their bellies. The fear and worry grew amongst the local populace. Some reports stated that there were upwards of 40 victims of Coutard and his wolves, all killed and eaten. Eventually, they decide to band together and come up with a plan to get rid of the pack of wolves once and for all. They waited until the entire pack had entered into the city through the walls before they gathered a group and lured them through the streets, enticing, teasing, and otherwise taunting them to bring Coutard and the other wolves to the marketplace outside of Notre Dame. There, a large contingent of Parisians were gathered and ambushed them. They attacked and killed the wolves with stones, sticks, and spears. And
the way I always heard it was that they it was students. It was like students who decided to take a stand against the wolves.
Ended the wolf siege of Paris. With more than 40 dead, but the four-legged evil killed, the citizens were free from the lurking terror. But how did this happen? There is some debate, as you might expect, about whether this incident happened either as described or at all. Taking the story at face value, there are some problems with it. The behavior of the wolves, as described, is highly unusual. They would normally take great pains to avoid highly populated areas due to the risk of being killed by humans. But these were not normal times. Food was scarce, and it had been known all throughout history that when required, wolves would expand their hunting grounds. It also should be noted that I think this was actually during like the Little Ice Age period, where it was colder than normal, which means there was less food than normal. Now, they would take risks that normally wolves wouldn't during this time period, and they would even seek out prey that they would...
I don't know if Little Ice Age... I would say Little Ice Age is a little later than that. Let's see. Little Ice Age. Yeah, I guess it does. The Great Famine was in 13. Yeah, absolutely. I guess I was thinking about Little Ice Age being where it hit its maximum. And I was thinking like the 1600s.
Usually not be a part of their typical meals. While portions of it read like a fable or fairy tale, especially the final battle between the citizens and the bloodthirsty beasts taking place in the town square, vanquishing these demons under the shadow of Notre Dame, I mean, come on, it kind of just works. Some people believe...
Very folksy.
Possible there may still be some elements of truth, but maybe not exactly like as described. If nothing else, the story has survived relatively unchanged for 6 centuries, and with very few notable embellishments or changes. There's even a plaque in Paris to this day that stands as the supposed location of the standoff and tells the story. And it would be far from the first instance of wild animals attacking humans. As recent as World War II, there was a pitched battle ongoing between German and Russian forces that was unrelenting, brutal, and devastating as they come. But the two sides were being harassed by wolves constantly in the local area. This became such a problem that the two opposing armies in open and current war with each other agreed an impromptu ceasefire. For a brief spell of time, the bloodshed and death paused on each side and took time to hunt and kill these wolves, ridding themselves of the ongoing hassle. They soon went straight back to killing one another.
We're gonna stop the wolves from killing each other so that that we can kill each other. Of course, humans always have their own best interest in heart. So I had to get something down there off the floor. Zwang Sieg Dreisig? Dreisig?
But it's interesting to see that even during a modern war, armies equipped with the latest and life-taking technology can be forced to take a break with each other and deal with the brutality of Mother Nature. A more relevant example would also be the so-called beast or Beast of Gévaudan. I actually covered this one, so if you're interested in it, you can go take a look.
He just did the same thing I did. I actually covered this before, so... Talking about another related wolf attack. Beast of Gévaudan.
This was either a single animal or several that was wreaking havoc over the course of 3 years in Gévaudan region of France, starting in 1764. I also did another video on this, except this is on my main channel, called Were, which is basically about a werewolf. So go check out Roanoke Gaming if you want to see that. But while there was never any definitive confirmation of what this beast was, many of the sightings and reports from witnesses compared it to very closely like it was a wolf. In fact, the very description of the encounter with the describing it was like...
Yeah, but the romantic languages sound pretty... They sound pretty. Like to my ears, they sound... I like it.
A wolf, yet not a wolf. Honestly, I think it was like a very young lion, but that's just me. And its behavior was bold as Coutard, if not even more so. It would attack and kill either people that were alone or pairs of young offspring, usually killing and eating what was left. Despite being wounded and fought off many times, it persisted.
If the French don't want to have Swiss people accidentally hiking into their borders, maybe they should put up a sign.
And reappeared in various places around the region. An official huntsman was sent out by the monarch at the time to deal with the beast, and although he took down a very large wolf, the killings continued. A second man was dispatched who confronted and eventually killed a similar-sized animal, and it seems as though the killing stopped. By the time the remains had been transported back for examination, no official identification could be made or anything, so the only really remains of this are like the theories and guesses as to what the Beast of Gévaudan actually looked like. That took somewhere between 60 and 100 lives.
And the Beast of Gévaudan wasn't necessarily a wolf either. There's a lot of theories about what the beast was
at the time. When it comes to the wolf siege of Paris, many of the questions asked are exactly how they began to take such reckless and risky visits to a populated city. Even in the face of low food levels and struggle, why such a risk for the most deadly of all prey available would be sought after? The main theory put forward about why the wolves became so aggressive and so brave is based around the climate at this time. With their natural prey and food sources being scarce and hard to come by, they began to scavenge the numerous dead bodies that were dumped outside of Paris. An added nuisance to this theory is that since these unfortunate people had died of the plague, their bodies would be tainted. Was it possible that multiple generations of wolves not only acquired a taste for human meat, but also ingested some of the lingering bacteria from the rotting corpses and began to develop side effects from them? Ones that
there were plague wolves. I see. Like plague rats, except for plague wolves.
Their inhibitions and robbed them of their sense of self-preservation, and ones that made them willing to basically risk it all to get more of the most dangerous of all food. Others would have us believe that the fable or
wolves be like, I need to get me some more of that plague. Some more of that sweet, sweet plague.
fairy tale aspects and how they are to it are nothing more than proof of what it is. It's nothing but just a made-up or embellished story. One that brought people together with the fear and horror of what they were hearing and raised them up with the triumph defeat of an enemy at the end. It can't be denied that there are parts of the story that are a little too hard to believe, and there is something a little too cinematic about townsfolk all banding together and staging a last stand in such a historic location. But that alone doesn't prove that it didn't happen. The fact that the story has survived and the fact that it has been repeated in some ways over the
They're called taint wolves. I think taint wolves in the Omegaverse are something different.
intervening years should demonstrate that
Joe does.
there is at least some merit to some aspect of it. There have been films made that are based around these sorts of ideas. While most immediately think of The Grey, where Liam Neeson is stalked by an enormous wolf in the desolate snow-covered backwoods of Alaska, there is a slightly more obscure film that mirrors it a lot closer. A French film named Les Loups de Paris, I'm not French, released in 2001, may be better known by its English name, The Brotherhood of the Wolf, set in the 18th century in France. It follows a tale of a mysterious and terrible beast that is terrorizing the area around Gévaudan and
It's
the efforts
a kung fu movie too
that they had to make to put this beast down. Looking into the details on the facts that remain about the Wolf Siege of Paris, it's easy to latch on to the lack of information. Sources survived, yes, but not in the same quantity or quality that would have for other events around this time or even before it. The green offspring of the last video I did. Some questions whether such an incident or ongoing outrage would have generated enough buzz to have reached the ears and pens of more mainstream and trusted historians.
Yeah, it wasn't even a wolf in Brotherhood of the Wolf, which is kind of ironic considering the title.
However, it's easy to forget that in the 15th century, it was entirely possible for people to be unaware of all but the largest happenings, even just a few towns over. And in the end, as callous as it all sounds, the loss of 40 citizens to wolf attacks may not have been significant enough to merit passing along. Merchants and other frequent travelers would doubtfully have known or warned each other about others, sort of like the dangers of lone traveling within the woods outside of Paris. But this wasn't really new information either. There were always risks, not only from aggressive wildlife, but from bandits and others that would rob them. So it's kind of known that this area was dangerous. In an era where scores of people were dying to plague at a rate that was nothing short
They're such amazing creatures, though.
of alarming, hamstringing the struggling local populace, would the loss of like 40 lives have ever really been registered on anybody's radar? Probably not. How many of them could just be absolutely confirmed to be wolves in the first place either? I mean, there was really dangerous people out there as well. There is every chance that those away from Paris were unaware of what was allegedly happening. Equally, there is a chance that once the story and the legend grew within the population, every person that went missing or failed to appear was simply assumed to have been taken and eaten by wolves. To look at it through the most critical lens possible, how accurate do we really think the number of 40 dead is likely to have been? And more importantly, what sort of proof do we have that this was
40 dead in the battle, or 40 dead total?
fact taken by Coutard and his roving band of bloodthirsty wolves? Ernest Thompson Seton wrote mainly about wolves in 1937 and includes a chapter on the infamous ringleader of the Wolf Siege of Paris. Here's how he describes him. This is a story of the great Coutard, the king wolf, the wolf that ruled all central France like a ferocious, despotic monarch. the wolf that drove 1,000 men in flight before him, the wolf that shut up all Paris in a state of a siege for 3 hard years of snow, the wolf that sent King Charles into Poltron hiding behind his castle walls of stone, the wolf that every day devoured a man as a dog.
Very poetic. 22-month membership, Vandalia. Wow, that's impressive. Oh, thank you so much. Just got back from a No King protest and live stream it, but I don't know if my phone is still live streaming or not because my phone is being Oh, well, keep up the good fight, Vandalia.
Dog might maul his daily rationed bone. Cotard himself seemed to have achieved legendary status, a wolf described by most as almost impossibly large, brave, and also showing a lot of cruelty. It is possible to look at the whole situation and wonder how much has grown over the years as the story has retold. I mean, ask a fisherman about a fish. Equally, regardless of what animal experts or critical observers have to say, the fact does remain that this story has survived in a collective consciousness.
And people, I mean, the fire. This is way. The siege of Paris was like way before the Beast of Gévaudan, right? I don't even think it showed up on that list that we looked at, did it? Maybe it did. Hold on. Yeah. So it was like hundreds of years before any, like the 15th century is not even listed on here. And there weren't like dependable firearms and stuff. It was, it was arrows and spears and rocks. Wolves were a lot more dangerous back then.
For multiple centuries. There are references to it from time to time throughout the intervening years, and the fact that the powers that be chose to commemorate the incident with a plaque on the Notre Dame building no less, which I don't know if it's still there now, proves that even if we were to believe that it was either a grossly exaggerated or embellished event, it almost doesn't matter. Even the most skeptical would have to agree that there must have been
wolves. Well, it's like Thanksgiving in Plymouth Rock, right? How the veracity of what has happened, what actually happened, or the true events that it may have been based on, don't make it's a compelling of story as the embellished ones that have grown over the centuries.
In the area at the time that attacked and killed and ate people, the most critical would have to concede that there must be at least a kernel of truth to the matter. And is that not alone scary enough? Even in our most
pretty sure Cotard had a mate too, a named mate, but I can't remember now. But yeah, I've heard that too about them both being wolf dogs.
Modern minds, the idea that a carnivorous pack of beasts is looming somewhere in the darkness within our city walls, ready to snatch us up, claws and teeth, and shuffle us off our mortal coil, is oddly terrifying. You don't want to be food for something else. How much more so for the people in 1450, even if Cotard was nothing more than a 15th century boogeyman to make offspring.
I mean, like, there's mastiff breeds that are bigger than wild wolves. Aren't St. Bernards bigger than wild wolves? So I guess it would depend on the breed of dog. Like, a wolf bred with a Great Dane is going to be... generally it's going to be bigger than at least longer limbed than a wolf. I don't know.
Close to their parents, a product of exaggeration and hype, there is no doubt that if you were walking the streets in Paris in the 1400s, you would probably do well to keep at least half an eye on the shadows around you. But anyhow, I want to thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed, then leave a like would be great of you as it gets it out there, and subscribing is a great way to stay up to date on when I post. If you have any suggestions,
I like this channel. I recommend it. I'm actually going to ring the bell so I can see when they release new content. But you can go out here and like their channel too. It's Roanoke Tales. But if you're in a liking and clicking mood, there's a bell below my video too that you can click, and a subscribe button and a thumbs up button. Let people know you enjoy what you're seeing here, so that people know that you like it. All right, so I'm going to call Breeze Beast area right there. Please remember to be kind. Take care. We'll see you next time. All right, live from the Hive audience. Wolves are larger than mastiffs. Wow. Why is my spacebar not working? There's breeds bigger than wolves, though. Yeah, English Mastiffs are bigger than wolves. St. Bernard, English Mastiff, Great Dane, Newfoundland, Irish Wolfhound, Leonberger, Anatolian Shepherd, Great Pyrenees, Neapolitan Mastiff, Bernese Mountain Dog, King Corso, French Mastiff. I guess it depends on which population of wolves you're talking about. Bull Mastiff, Scottish Deerhound, Caucasian Shepherd Dog, and English Mastiff. So we've bred dogs to be bigger than wolves through selective breeding. 80 pounds, not the, let's see, St. Bernards. I don't think, because I had a husky that was over 80 pounds, and my brother's Great Dane was like a monster compared to it. Let's see. This is St. Bernard's. Yeah, 140 to 180 pounds is the weight of a St. Bernard. And I think they're the biggest, but English Mastiffs get pretty big too. English Mastiffs are so cute. Weighing around, it says from Purina, 200 to 230 pounds for an English Mastiff. Now, something like a Great Dane, they're pretty lanky, but get to about 130 pounds on the high end. The Newfoundland, 140 to 180 pounds. Yeah, red wolves are small. Gray wolves are huge. Some populations of gray wolves do get to the size of these large dog breeds. Right? Some of them do get, let's see. Gray wolf size. Let's see here. Oh, I didn't mean to. I thought I was showing you guys this. Derp. So wolves. Description. Here we go. An average European wolf is 85 pounds. A North American wolf is 79 pounds, and then the rest of them are smaller. They are huge, but like big dogs are, the big breeds of dogs are. But yeah, there's populations that are absolutely massive, though. Like it says here, the Russian ones, certain populations, 152 to 174 pounds. Nothing to scoff at for sure. But yeah, all these breeds are bigger, though. All these breeds of dogs are bigger on average than a wolf. Doesn't mean they're more dangerous, though. Skipped over the 175 pounds. I didn't see 175 pounds. Oh, that's the largest record, yeah. I was looking for average. But yeah, there's 175 record wolf. But there's breeds of dogs that's like on the average size, like a English Mastiff. Yeah, two English Mastiffs weigh around 200 to 230 pounds. So, like, the biggest wolves are domestic dogs. All right. This is a fun topic, though. The channel that I follow, excuse me, the Wild World channel, his channel is all about, like, which one's the biggest, what's the largest, what's the heaviest, kind of stuff like that. So if you're like into that kind of subject matter, there's a whole slew of stuff out here on his channel about that. That's just kind of same topic, same kind of stuff I do here. I'm on Brief's Bestiary. Red wolves are so, yeah, almost extinct. There's like 15 of them left in the wild. Timber wolves are smaller than many dog breeds. I've owned dogs bigger than most timber wolves are like that's the eastern wolves. Yeah. Many of the dogs I see regularly. And the European wolves were a bit, they were smaller than like Russian wolves, like the Asian steppe in North America, like the Canadian Shield. Those areas have huge wolves. There's also there's extinct subspecies of wolves in certain areas. There was a coastal wolf on that was absolutely huge. Hold on, let me see if I can find it. Yes, and that's all FetLife stuff down there. So here, I think this has a list, and it tells us the kind of some of the stuff about them too, like their weights and stuff. But is it the Mackenzie Valley wolf? It wasn't the Mackenzie Valley wolf. I know it wasn't. It was because that was known. Trying to find it. Hold on. Bear with me. The Mackenzie Valley wolves do get huge. Excuse me. My throat's getting kind of... Great Plains wolf. Bum, 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 bum. Oh, yeah. Kenai Peninsula wolves. These ones. Now, these wolves were freaking monstrous. Perhaps the largest North American wolf. And I've seen weight estimates that exceed like 200 pounds. Let's see. Yeah, here's a good scale for it, because they're called Canis lupus accles. Now look at that. Look how much bigger they are than your average gray wolf. They're monstrous. Absolutely huge. Trying to find something with a weight estimate. Let's see. Oh, they've been exterminated too. I guess I should pinpoint that. So any weight estimates are going to be subjective. And they weighed 67 to 90 kilograms, or that's 147 to 198 pounds. So these are big ass wolves. But what can you tell us about the sudden rise in vampire attacks in New Mexico? Shh. We don't talk about that. All right. I guess I'm in Breeze Beastier here now. We've been going for 3 hours. Yeah. Going for 3 hours. Which I didn't expect to manage today. So, yeah. Here we are. All right. Remember to do all the things. The be kinding and the take caring. But I will see you guys next weekend. I don't know if I'm doing Charlatan's Web yet this week. I just shelved it until we got settled here. So I'm here now and let's see what happens. All right. Be kind and take care, and we'll see you next time.
Oh, well, looky here. Another bird for me to tear to shreds. Ha, I love these stupid things. Well, let's go get him. You know, it's weird. I keep getting closer, but he's not getting any smaller. Huh, must be an optical illusion. What the hell is that on his face? An axe? Well, no, I wasn't looking at you. I was looking over there. What is that, a squirrel? Yeah, over there. Oh, yeah. Yeah, buddy, I wasn't looking at you. Yeah. Go ahead there, eat up. Oh, yeah. No, don't worry. Oh, no, don't mind me. I'm sitting here just shitting on myself.